Hello and welcome everyone, whether you're watching this on Facebook or on my YouTube channel. This is London to New York crossover with the Harmonic Scanner, which is one of the tools we get free with the lowest package. So it's nice to see everyone here today. I'm going to start sharing screen so we can go through the pairs. I monitor about 24 pairs. I can get through them fairly quickly and I set them up about 6 to 8 hours before I start trading. And we're going to start with Euro JPY, which is this one here. Now, let me just show everyone the context. I have looked at the scanner today and I couldn't see anything new. There's some rather odd shapes, so I haven't drawn anything new. This is one with the D point from the 14th of May. And we can see it's been working its way up, and quarter theory is just simply a line of support and resistance drawn at 50 pip intervals, and it's crossing above that. Now, I do the 1 hour time frame analysis, but I enter on the 1 minute to get the precise entry. So why did I have this one as a trade idea? And the reason is that hang on, sorry, just had a message come in. Let me just move that over. There we are. So the reason is the orange line, we have 4 confirmations, which are on, for this particular strategy, which is using pitchfork drawn onto the scan, XCD, 1 click on the left-hand menu, I'll show you in a minute, and a pitchfork is simply a trend line drawn at an angle in the direction of the scan, and we're looking for reversals of the pitchfork. So we must have a pitchfork touch, the trend line, and then 2 of these other confirmations. Quarter theory is at crossing quarter theory, which is the orange dotted line. The 62 EMA, which is the thick orange line, that is the 1 minute trend line, which is measuring 62 candles across. So it's measuring a different number of 62 candles depending on the time frame it's on. So if it was on the hourly time frame, it would be measuring 62 hours. If it's on the 1 minute, then it's measuring a different 62 candles. So you're looking at the current trend on the 1 minute. That's what we're looking at with the 62. That stands for exponential moving average. The 1 minute trend break and retest, where we draw a trend line and we're waiting to see if it breaks the current trend. So it breaks through the line, then that shows it's changed trend, or a channel touch. So to make a channel, we simply clone the trend line so it's got the same angle, and then find the nearest touches to make a nice channel where it's going up and down, and then we'll be using one of those. I don't use that one very much. Samantha likes it a lot. I'm just not usually using that. I'm usually using the 1 minute trend, and then the other one is where we put a fib on, Fibonacci magic numbers that work, and we're looking for the high to the low or the low to the high, and where it's reversed back to one of these points, our favorites being the big boomerang extension leg, the 88.6, or the golden ratio, the 61.8. So that's what we're looking for. So what did we have on this particular one? We had a cross. This is the orange one, which is crossing the blue line. Now the blue line is simply the 1 minute trend line as it would appear on the 15-minute chart. So the pushed out chart, and remember the 1 minute chart where we are now is the current momentum in the market. So if the orange has crossed above the blue, then it's saying that price is buying, and you can see price indeed has been above it. Now you're going to say, but Sarah, it's broken that 62 and it's come back down here. Doesn't that mean it's selling? And the answer is no. As we know, price moves in a flow on a chart. It's not a straight line up or down. So what it's doing here is retesting the 15-minute line. And that's just simply what price does. You'll find it comes back down. Then it happens to also be testing the pitchfork, which is the white line, the trend line drawn off that scan, if you remember. So after a while, you can learn to read the charts to get a feel for what they're doing. So you can say, okay, then it's still on its way up, but I'm going to wait till it gets above quarter theory. Because that is another one of our confirmations. And if we are thinking of buying, then we would want price to be above the quarter theory. So have we got our confirmations here? Well, if we get our ruler, we've had a break and a retest. That's 5.9, that's 6 pips. And that's why I said wait for it to get above for a break and a retest of that quarter theory, because the break and the retest to here of the pitchfork, that gap is narrowing. Price is in a trap. Now, I like these price traps. Chuck Jones, who's often on Brown's Q&A sessions. I think he still does the Underground Railroad. Tony will know more about that. But he talks about the wedge, the price trap, because once price is between a strong line of support and resistance like quarter theory and a pitchfork, which remember is only a trend line drawn at an angle, it will have to make a decision that it wants to sell or it wants to buy. It's got to move one way or the other. That's why I like those kind of points. And then you can see I've got my stop loss of 10 pips. Technically, that should really be off the, you can only get away with 10 pips. It's off the pitchfork. Ideally, you'd want it down there. You've got price coming above. So we've had one confirmation, the orange above the blue. The second confirmation, the break and the retest of the pitchfork, but not by 10 pips. So that was the only thing. It's when I send these out as alerts, it's the only thing that worries me is because, you kind of have to get a feel for it. Now, I didn't actually get into this trade because that happened at, as you can see, 13.40, round about 22. And I was getting a cup of tea. I heard the alert come off, but I was coming on to this session. So often that will stop me getting in a trade. It's not anyone's fault. It's just that I feel I can't concentrate, and I would worry about it if I then come on the session and I'm in a trade, because I do use trailing stop losses, but I still like to be very hands-on. It's just a personal style, and I like to manage my trades. So I didn't want to get in on this on a full lot size or even a small one really, and just leave it to run. But it has done the 20 pips. So I was a little bit worried about how much, because it was moving quite slowly. This is green, this is yellow, London session, and into New York. You see, Euro is a London session pair, and JPY is Asian. But you can get into pairs any time of day. It's just I wanted to see how much has it broken and retested there. So from the pitchfork, including the top, I can get rid of that alert now. That's just an alert. It's just an alarm that I had. So there's the break in the retest of the pitchfork, not quite by 10 pips, but once it came above the orange line, I'll get rid of this one now.
Sarah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
There's a message in the message thing for you from me.
Oh, okay. In the chat.
It's self-explanatory. I'm just getting a few messages from
other
okay. People.
I've got to find my, why can't I see my chat? Hang on. I messed around with my Skype, with my Zoom settings the other day because I was trying to set things up for doing interviews later, all this week, and I can't seem to, that's very odd, I can't seem to see.
Oh, well, shall I mention it?
Well, if you don't mind, because I can't find my chat for some reason at the moment.
It's all right. There's a few people think that we're doing a Zoom together today, and I've told them now that it's tomorrow because I've got to sort out the Zoom, my end.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, carry on. Yeah, tell us. Yeah.
And I'm saying it really now.
Yeah.
I'm making sure, because last time I was with you, it kept breaking up, didn't it? And I couldn't get on and you couldn't hear me.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it works now, and I might have to go onto the paid version to do it for more than 40 minutes. So I'm just testing it out now for tomorrow. That's all.
Great. Okay. Yes, tomorrow's super duper. So Tony and I will be doing our Tony first, talking about easy pips. Great little strategy that he's got there. Very good for, we think, for newcomers, and also for the BYOB Ninjacator. And then I will do my usual harmonic scanner. So I don't know why Euro JPY has just shot up like that, because when I check Forex Factory, there's no news on that. I don't look at my FX book, but it got Canadian bank holiday. We just got USD talking earlier this morning. That was the red flag on the American one. So let's go. Okay, Tony, that's great. Thank you. But I've no idea why I can't see my chat. So I must have switched something off on my settings when I was fiddling around with it last night. So a big move. Let me hide that. A big move on Euro JPY. Does that answer your question, Kathy, on looking at confirmations?
I think so. Yeah, it does. One of my questions was, does it have to, once it's gone up to your buy price, the 10 pips, does it have to retest? I was waiting for it to retest again, so I've missed it.
I know. This is a little bit of a tricky one, I think, because definitely would not have got in up here like that, because you've missed the entry once it's about 10 pips away off the pitchfork. Okay, so we like to get in just 2 or 3 pips away, or in this case above the orange quarter theory. So the place to have got in, although it wasn't, you see, when I send those alerts out, you have to use a bit of judgment, you know what I mean? Because
I can understand.
I have to kind of protect myself by saying wait for a break and a retest of 10 pips, because that is the ideal. Sometimes I have found if I wait for a break and a retest of only 6 or 7 pips, that actually it fails and it moves the other way. And you kind of have to know that and think, oh, that's okay. It's decided to go for the sell, not the buy. It failed. It couldn't quite manage to push off that level. But would I have got into this on my own? Really? Do you know what? Probably not, to be honest. I know it's just done a lovely move, but it only did a little break and a retest there. It had been quite flat. It was above the 62. Or I could have said to myself, I'll get in here. That would have been the point to have got in off that there. And that was only a break and a retest of, up to that wick there, 4 pips. So a tiny break and a retest. So the place to have got in would have been there when it turned to the buy candle. When the candle's moving in your direction, it's above quarter theory, it's closed above, and it's closed above the orange, and it's done that break and the retest off the pitchfork. Then if you had seen it turn back on you, you could have got out at just your 1 pip or break even if it didn't work. Yeah,
that's looking at the 1 minute.
That's looking at the 1 minute.
So on your confirmation list, when it says 62 EMA, for that then, if it's a buy you're looking for, it needs to be above the 62 EMA.
Yeah.
Or does it need to do a break and retest or anything on the 62 EMA, or is it just whether it's above or below it, depending whether you're going for a buy or a sell?
The crucial point is strong momentum in the direction of the trade you're thinking to take. So if it was buy, you know, is the orange line going strongly up, and if it's a sell, is it going strongly down?
Right,
because then you can take it before it does this, and this is the crucial point. It's where it's crossed above the blue. because that's the current momentum in the market. It's that key point. So that's a tick, big tick in the confirmation box. The orange has crossed above the blue. Yeah. That's what you're looking for. Yeah. Get that? Does that make sense?
Sorry, I'd muted myself.
Oh,
yeah, that was one of my questions. What the significance of that was, when they cross over like that.
Yeah, exactly that. It's saying it's buying, and that's one of our confirmations when it crosses above. Okay. So
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, that's what we're looking for. So here it crossed above, but it's in the middle of nowhere. It's not off the pitchfork. That is not a trade because you haven't got enough confirmations, and it's not got the pitchfork touch. Here, sorry, let's tidy that up. Here we've got it breaking below, but have we got enough confirmations? Well, we've got a break and a retest of the pitchfork. So this is a classic example where it's only broken and retested. Sorry, I haven't quite lined it up. Trying to get that point from there to there. You see there, it's only broken and retested 6 pips. It's not 10 pips. It didn't like it. It's what we call slippage. So although it did cross for the sell, you can see the orange has crossed the blue. It's done a break and a retest of the pitchfork, but under 10 pips. It comes above to test the 15-minute line. Again, it tries again. It doesn't like it. It tries for a third time. So 3 rejections, 3 lots of slippages, crosses above for the buy, gets above the quarter period, decides to go. That's the feel for the charts, and that's what's happening there. So I suppose, and then I would also look at the timing. So that's open of London. So all throughout London, it's really not done very much at all. How many pips did it do in total? Less than 20 pips for the whole of London. And then it decides to go for the buy towards the end of the session, just as we come into the New York reversal, as it's called. So if I was reading this chart, would I have therefore got into that? Yes, I wouldn't have known it would have gone that much, though. Obviously, I wouldn't have known that. But if I'd sat there and said to myself, okay, what actually happened here? 3 lots of less than 10 pips break, so it's failing to get below that pitchfork. It did want to sort of push down with those fake outs for the sell, couldn't manage it at all. And then finally, after 12:34 my time, nearly an hour and a half, it's just stalled above, and then it tested that, and then boom, it's gone. Yeah. So that ended up being
That's all on the 1 minute.
This is all on the 1 minute.
Yeah.
It's being on the 1 minute that enables you to use the 10 pip stop loss.
Yeah.
And really, you should have your. That's only if you've got your stop loss at your pitchfork line. I had it further up on when I sent it out as an idea, but really it should be down there.
Yeah.
I put it up there because I was thinking, well, people could overlay their BYOB. I know you shouldn't mix strategies. I totally agree with that. But if people aren't using our particular strategy, I think they can overlay their BYOB, because this in effect is a trade idea set up like similar to Vibrata, isn't it? And you can think, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's useful. Yeah.
It's useful, isn't it? I may as well put them out.
The pitchfork comes from the harmonic scan, doesn't it? And I know Les does BYOB using the harmonic scanner sometimes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's right. Okay, so that's Euro JPY. I have got some alerts set up, but as you know, today's the beginning of my 3rd year trading. I can't believe where 2 years have gone. So I've been doing a series of interviews this week. Tomorrow's starting with Tony. The theme is collaboration. Today was interviewing a new trader. Wednesday I'm interviewing Paul, and that will be about. Very excited about that. I've not done an interview with Paul before, so that's really going to be about bridging the gap between the opportunity of Forex, the bigger IM community of 200,000, and why having our own home community, our own home base, the Ninja base, what was his vision and why is it so powerful, and what's it actually been achieving for people, and where do we go from here? What are the next developments? So that's tomorrow, and sorry, that's Wednesday, and then Thursday at 7 p.m. 6 p.m. UK time, I'll be interviewing Chance, and thank you, Chance Gonan, who's been my mentor on this strategy. And I'm interviewing him, and that will be about what does it take to be a successful trader. So thank you for the questions you've put into the Ninja Trader group, or message me. It's 45 minutes, so I want to be able to mention your names and say, I know Tony submitted a question, you know, as a question from Tony, blah, blah, blah. So that's what we're going to be doing on Thursday to round off the week. So what have we got here on, this is Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. I don't always trade this pair because they're very similar. Just writing down what we've been through. So what have we got happening here? The answer is there was your break and a retest. It's crossed below, it's coming down. But this one I had up on a tab just to say to you that there's an interesting point coming up here. I've got two pitchforks, and I just wanted to go back and see which was the most recent one. I've got the purple and the white, and I can't remember. It's the white one. The white one is the most recent one, and I put the purple one in because sometimes price will stall out. So I just like to keep it sort of so I can vaguely see it in the background. And we'll just go back to that. So we'll be using the white pitchfork for this one. AN moves at a 7, but I have got a note here saying it's very wicky. And what we'll be looking for, I need to see what the gap is here between the pitchfork and quarter theory, because that's a very 6 pips. Obviously it widens as you go along, so keep an eye on your timing. But here we've got a very strong line of resistance because it's both the quarter theory, and you probably can't see it, but it's a very pale. The purple older pitchfork is running directly along that line. So price will stall out there, if not reject. So we're looking for two things here. If we get the brush, we ideally, doesn't always happen like this as we saw on Euro JPY, we want it to break, stall out, come down, do that. Or it might come down and reject strongly off that and then come back up. So a very key line there, down at, let me just move that out of the way, down at 1.08. That's the quarter theory and pitchfork there. So at the moment it says it wants to sell, but for me there's no trade till it does something at this pitchfork level. And it could, you know, it could reject off that, but at the moment that's crossed over, so it looks like it wants to carry on down. But both of those are Asian pairs, remember. So that's what we're looking for. I'll just draw myself an alert to come back and have a look whenever it decides to get down there. Okay, now I'm not looking at, something's on bank holiday, Canadian dollars on bank holiday. So as long as one part of the currency pair is in an active session, you know, like active, then you can still look at it, it will still be trading, but we've got others we can look at. So I'll just ignore the Canadian dollar ones at the moment. I did look at these ones earlier on. I want to go to AUDNZD. I looked at that earlier. I can't remember what was happening on it. There. EN. I'll have a look at that next. Euro USD. Right, Euro NZD, I'm waiting for it to come down to this level. Again, you've got a wedge. So at the moment it's crossed over, it's broken and retested. How many has it done there? Oh, a lot of pips, 38, gosh. So that's strongly on its way, strong momentum on its way down, but you're looking for it somewhere in this zone of 1.80500 down to that pitchfork. That's where I'm interested in, 1.80270 down there. And then it might waffle along in there before it decides to break down further or reject off it. But either way, you wouldn't want to be getting into it till it's past that orange line down there. Okay, so I'm going to look at Euro USD.
The problem I have, Sarah, is that the one you did before, I actually got the same pitchfork, which is brilliant because I'm feeling more confident now because my screen looks like yours.
Up, yeah.
But I haven't got the pitchfork on the Euro NZD. I just haven't got that yet. So it is building up from the scans, isn't it, and keeping them on the chart.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you come on Chance's session, he's very good at saying, you know, copying you some of his older ones.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he will do that on some of the sessions. He's very good like that. Sometimes at the beginning of the week when we're doing chart markups and we say, oh, I haven't got that scan. But I mean, I can send you any of them across that I have if you want them. But you know, this is on the hourly. I can't remember where that one's from.
Don't worry now, obviously, because you're training. But it was just a comment, really, that as the more I do them, because I do them every day now, it will build up so that I can use more pitchforks. Yeah,
that's right. Because sometimes people are taking trades off slightly different scans from Chance's, but it doesn't make them any less valid or valuable. It's just normally the most recent scan will take precedence. Now, this is interesting because this scan actually is not a very good scan. So this has actually failed. It's come up there. So really, I'm not so sure that I like the scan that I'm using because I drew a second pitchfork off that. So I'm rather glad we've come back and checked it because you can see it's gone straight up there. So actually that is a failed scan. So I think what I might do after this session is come back and delete this one. So this is how I learn. I put delete query. So I will come back and delete that because that is a failed scan. And then what I'll do though, before I delete it, is just see what happens with the current trade idea, because that's how I learn. So I think, okay, then, well, did it come down? Did it respect that pitchfork? What actually happened, given that that was a failed scan? So I haven't got anything more recent, I don't think, where there's a current scan to oh, can't find my object box. Found my thing a bit glitchy today. I have to look. Objects box has disappeared now. So I'll have to, that's very odd. It's usually down this right hand corner. Why the hell's that gone? Sorry, guys.
Mine's in the normal place, so
yeah,
maybe it's something to do with you having Zoom on or something. It's affected the...
I don't know, but it usually normally sits right down there. So anyway, I can't check if there's another scan. There probably isn't, which is why I'm using that one. Otherwise, I would have had that probably up rather than that old second pitchfork. So nothing on Euro USD. If there's anyone wants me to look at, we'll go to Euro USD. I don't know what time the alert went off. So again, another interesting one. We have had a pitchfork touch, but there was no break and retest on this. So again, a bit of a tricky one. It wouldn't have been one that I would have got. Oh, I don't know how many pips did it. If it's just a couple of pips. 1.5 pips. Chance says you can consider that a touch here. So he would have said that's a touch. It's way above the 62 anyway. And the orange has crossed over. Haven't got a quarter theory or anything else. So maybe not enough confirmations that I would have actually got into that one, because it broke it did. I wonder how many pips that is between pitchforks. How big is the scan? So it's only 35. So I wouldn't have probably taken a quarter trade theory there either. But you know, for some reason that's decided it's going right up. So personally, I wouldn't have had enough confirmations to have taken this as a trade, but I could have tried a fib retracement, which we're talking about on our confirmation sheet. So if you remember, so that from there to there, low to high, and you have had a rejection there of the 88.6. So orange above blue, check 1, a rejection of the 88.6, check 2, and a break of quarter theory, check 3. So the only thing that would have slightly put me off that is the fact that there isn't a, you know, there wasn't a big hang on a minute, let me just change the color settings, otherwise we're going to get change the color on the fib. It's not getting muddled up with the white line of the pitchfork. So the only thing that would have worried me about that is I haven't got a pitchfork touch, and that's the outer extensions down here of this particular scan. But there was a fib trade there, and it's gone up to take profit 2, but it's just failing now off that take profit 3, the 61.8, which is up near the quarter theory anyway. So that could be the end of its move there on that one. So that's Euro USD. If anyone's got any questions, you know, do ask. Let's have a look at the time. I'm not going to do USD. I'm not going to do the Canadian ones. Don't tend to trade those very much. We could have a look at GA. I haven't looked at that today. That wild pair. It moves fast. You do need a 15 pip stop loss on this one. So I haven't even got it in a scan at the moment. It's right below those extensions, and I know I haven't got another scan because I would have had that on from late last week. So it's dropped right down. Very odd. I can't see my objects box. I must have accidentally clicked it off. I have to look for that later. So I can't look for other scans at the moment because I've lost my objects box, which maybe is me not knowing where else to look for it, or I've accidentally hidden it. Maybe I've done that. I don't know. So I haven't got a scan on GA at the moment. Have a look at GN, Great British Pound, New Zealand Dollar. Can't look, as I say, there's nothing new on the scanner, so I can't look at new scans or put a 25 to life on today. Hopefully we'll have something for our session tomorrow, me and Tony. So GN, it's crossed below for a sell, and it's stayed under the 62, but it's broken it, and it's now come back down testing quarter theory, and it looks like it's turning back round. So we want to see what the trend is doing, and is it breaking that trend. So in this instance, I'll put a trend line on, and if we have that down, there's your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You've got some nice touches there. Let's just change that to my trend line color. So it's now broken. It's broken that 1 minute. It's broken the 1 minute trend. Although it's still under the 62, it's coming down to that quarter theory. It might come back down here and turn back up. But that was its downward trend, and it's not respecting that now. So I think that's trying to do a reversal, and reversals are harder to spot really and get right. But you can see the 62s flattening out, and you can see it stalling out again along that quarter theory. So what you would be looking for in a setup, it's moved again. If you draw a line like that, I did this with Connor the other day. We were having a look at this on Messenger with, I think it was all JPY last Friday as the setup. So what we'd be looking for is price going to do that, or actually what it has decided to do is that at the moment it's breaking and retesting below this upward 1 minute trend. So if I was looking at this to get into a trade, I'd want to see it, you know, is it going to come below the quarter theory and obviously the pitchfork, or, and it has failed to do this, it's not liking that 1 minute trend. I'd want to see it break and retest above that 62 orange line and then take off up to there. And if it did that, then that would be, that gives you your 20 pips. That gives you your 20 pips up there, but then you want to look at how far off, because this is a wild pair, GN, so you'd need, if you're going to wait for it to break above, that's your next level. Normally I always set it at 20, it's just then I can keep my mind clear on my ratios, but you can see you'd need a bigger stop loss to cover yourself. So that wouldn't be a trade for me, because I wouldn't like the fastness of the pair and the big stop. Comparatively for me, big stop loss I'd have to use. I just don't like live trading where I've got stop losses up at there. The most I go to is 15. I doubt I even ever do 17, and I never do 20, 25. It's just not my appetite for risk. So that's kind of how I'm feeling the charts and looking at what I might want to do, and then I'll set alerts and I will put my brush marks on sometimes, not all the time, but something like this I might, to remind me if I come back onto it. But as I say, this wouldn't be, you can see it's moving quite fast, this wouldn't be a trade for me, because I don't like that stop loss. Right, I'm going to, mind you, if it drops below, and you've got below the pitchfork, then of course that's a different setup, isn't it? So what would the stop loss be on that down here? So that would be fine if it came down. It's different on your, bit different on your sell potentially, but you'd be looking, and it's wicking off that 1 minute trend, so it doesn't like that either. So have a look at your time, the hourly candle, the half-hour candle close, and that pitchfork down there is 2.02895. So if it does wick off there and come down, then you know it's crossed over there. So if it's going to carry on down, then you've got a trade down there. So we'll just go back and look at that EN I didn't want. Don't want GA. Just save that. Come back to AN. So still strong downward momentum. Looks like it does want to break through or get rid. Oh, I'd like to get rid of those brush marks down there using my objects box, but obviously not. Just do it like that. So it's breaking through, it's carrying on for the sell. And you've only got 5 pips between your pitchfork and your quarter theory. So for me, I would never get into the trade at this point. Same thing as when we started off looking at Euro JPY. You know, what I'd like to see, that's only 5 pips, but something like that. And then I would have a look at what my stop loss would have to be. So that's okay, that would cover you on both pitchfork and quarter theory. And then you've got your approximately 20 pips down to that pitchfork down there with a 10 pip stop loss. So a potential trade there, but personally for me, wait for the break and the retest between the pitchfork line and wait for it to come through and just break that quarter theory at 1 point. I'll write this one down. So that's a sell trade idea. 1.08. Let's do it like this. Settings. And do it like that. So 1.08100. Entry 1.08. And take profit down at 1.07800 for the sake of rounding the figures, but really it's probably going to be, you know, if it doesn't break all the way through, you've got 15, 16 pips, something like that. Just you know, as it decides what it's going to do round about that point. Okay, I'll write that down. 1.0782. 1.07830 possible, which would be that would be 1.07830. Yeah, that would be 17 pips. So at the moment, and the other thing is you can see price likes to come back up and test the 62. So if you do see it coming back up, then sometimes what it's doing is testing before it carries on the trend it wants to go down, except for on the hour, where, as we know, you get those fake out moves in the opposite direction as well. So I don't get into trade that last few minutes of the hour or a few minutes after if I can help it, because, you know, I'm never quite sure what it's doing. So that's AN. I'll close those two. GN. So GN is just chilling out at the moment. And right, so the last, what can we look at? US JPY, Japanese yen, US dollar. No, nothing. And that's done the same thing again. It crossed over back there, but it hasn't done a big break and retest. I'm trying to get it off the pitchfork, not the sticking on the. It only did three pips there, and then it's come back and just stayed above. So I wouldn't have got in that one. But that has done 16 pips. and it looks like it's dropping back down again now. So nothing on that one. And what else have we got? EuroCAD. Oh no, wait a minute. That's, well, we've got a bank holiday on the Canadian dollar. Just chilling out along that quarter theory and the 62. Nothing there anyway at the moment. Did we do G? I don't want to do GCAD because it's Canadian dollar. That's a slow one, slow moving pair. USD CHF Swiss franc, and it's outside. I don't have a lot of scans on any Swiss franc pairs. It's outside the extensions. I put that alert there ages ago. I don't have any trade on that. What else have we got? I don't know. JPY. I don't know if I've got anything on that. These ones at the bottom I don't look at too much. Outside the scan. I know I haven't got any other scans on those. And GBPCHF, Great British Pound, Swiss franc. Where are you? Is it just, oh, right down there? This is a slow pair anyway. I haven't got anything on that. It only moves at a speed of about 2 out of 10. It is moving up, and up here you've got pitchfork and quarter theory. So technically speaking, it should be on its way up there. But I do find this a very slow pair anyway. There's your break and retest above the 62. It's broken above quarter theory, but it is a slow pair. So this is an example where you could draw a channel. So this is your channel, I can see. And then, so you've got enough touches there. I know it's slipped through a bit, but you've got some nice touches there. And then right click and use the clone, then you'll get the same angle. And then you just have to find where you feel comfortable for the touches either side of the channel. So for me, I don't know if I'd go, it's either there. I think I probably prefer that. So I've got touch there, there. There's some very nice touches there where it cut with the pitchfork. There, no trade there, trade there. So you've got a touch here, and if it carries on above the 62, then as I say, it's working its way up there. But you have to decide where you want to get into some, you know, trade like this. You've got a channel touch, you need it above the 62. But you know, I get a bit nervous. I like to be off that pitchfork. I like to be off the pitchfork. I'll just measure how wide that pitchfork is. I can't remember. 63. So that's the exception to the rule, because that makes it a 240 pip scan. So in that case, you can take quarter theory trades. So because otherwise you'd be waiting forever, and it's 3 times the size of our minimum 20 pip leg. If you remember, we look at minimum scans of 80 pips on the C to D leg. So if you don't mind a slow pair and you think it's going up, you've had a break and a retest there, you've got your orange above the blue, you've had several breaks and retests, 1, 2, and it's coming above the 62, and if it stays above there, then whilst it stays in that channel, then potentially you've got, so you could put your BYOB on this, 20 pips up to the channel touch up there, but you can see it did fail there. So, you know, is it now flagging on its channel? Because it did a touch there, although it came down to the 62, it touched the channel down to the 62, touched the bottom of the channel, top of the channel, quarter theory held it up there, top of the channel, bottom of the channel, failed to reach the top of the channel, back down to the bottom of the channel, but coming above. So is it now just wanting to just, you know, sort of move along? Is it going to break that channel? Well, that's how I start to look at that. But I don't often do channel trading. It's Sam's favourite, Samantha Gonan's favourite, but it's just something I've never particularly got used to. I'm more likely to do the break and the retest of a 1 minute trend. So that's GBPCHF.
Sarah, you've got 4 minutes and there's nothing in the chat.
Oh, great. Thanks a lot, Tony. Brilliant. Do one more then. Has anyone got anything they want me to look at? Or any other questions? And then I'll stop sharing. Thanks, Tony. NZD USD did quite well on this the other week. So I had my alert set up there. It's been off the pitchfork there, but I didn't have an alert down there. So what I'm going to do is I will move my alert to here, and it's in a buy mode at the moment, but I don't know what it's going to do at that level. I'll just draw it along quarter theory, I think. And we can see, so have a look at this once it gets to 0.6 thousand, and I'll just change that to that, extend right line, and put an alert on. And then you don't have to sit and stare at things. You can just wait for your alerts to go off, and when you come back to them, then you know what you're looking for. So I'm going to stop sharing now because we're coming up to the end of the hour. I've got Sharon on next, and then Sarah Jane with her BYOB basics. Oh, I like the picture, Tony. Is that your holiday home?
That's my future holiday home.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Perfect.
Well, it's only a picture. I mean, it just gives you incentive
Well, no, it's already there. You've done it. If it's, yeah, it's beautiful. And then Les on at 7, and Brian's Q&A tonight at that must be 8. That's 8 UK time.
Yeah,
that's the rest of the day. So if anyone's got any charts they want to send over or any setups, please feel free. You can post them in my Ninja Forex Traders Dreamworks group, which is purely technicals. I just focus on harmonics, and I did put a Bitcoin pitchfork. It wasn't one of mine. A Bitcoin scan in there. It's off one of the traders. We follow each other on TradingView. I don't know him. He's not in our group. Someone different. And I know that Bitcoin's gone up €1,000. My friend bought some last week, so she's well pleased with that. Hi, Debbie. Nice to see Debbie there. Hope you're doing well.
Hi, Sarah. Hi.
Yeah, hi. Nice to see you.
Jason said thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Yeah, he likes this strategy. And I just post pitchfork, and so I'm trying to put some more trade ideas in there as well, and sometimes post them in Discord or in Ninja Forex Traders. So that's the plan, to do more of that. And we'll be on, Tony and I, doing a joint session tomorrow. We're going to do some of them regularly. He will start with Ninjacator and his easy pips, which is great for beginners, with 3 to 5 pips. He's highly successful with that. Thoroughly recommend you look at that. There's no offense taken if you want to just join Tony and then hop off when I start rabbiting on about pitchforks and scans, and I'll look at 25 to life to see if we've got a trade on that. And Kevin Orme did a special session last Friday on what to look for on 25 to life, so you might want to go over that. I'll probably have a look at that on the replay myself tonight before tomorrow, because I missed the actual session. So nice to see everyone. I'm going to stop recording now.